It's the dream that you live. That's the inspiration behind this studio. The dream that you lived a whole length of your lifetime, that you want to have a studio which is vibrant, which has energy for creative people to come together and do some magic. That's the inspiration behind a space like this. So we have a 4,000 square feet floor space, which is divided into 2 levels. We went about zoning the entire place into various parts as per the requirements of the studio. So we have, as soon as you come up and you're out of the lift, you straight away get into an atrium, which becomes the front office of the studio. It has a small little huddle space, which is part of that zone. The front office also leads to the service zone on one side, which has the toilet block and the pantry and the print area. A little staircase takes you up above that zone to the cafeteria and pantry that we have in the service block itself. You walk past the access control doors and we have this studio, which has got 32 feet high roof, and it has 1,000 square feet of floor space, which accommodates about 20 of us in that space. Beyond the access control doors, we also have the client's zone and the principal zone, which leads to a quiet zone like the library. So the zoning was done in such a fashion that the atrium and the reception area and the studio block were part of the zone that's visible from the entrance. And then you have a little cut off for the quieter zones like the client area and the principal zone. So when we acquired this place, it had elements from the heritage aspect of architecture, which we needed to imbibe in our design. So we saw the wooden trusses, which were already braced with the metal brackets and metal columns. So a whole lot of metal work had already been done to the original timber structure, which was built in the 1910s, which is before 1920. We picked that as the basis. Also, in order to keep the raw look, the organic feel, we wanted to see what's behind the dirty plastered walls or the windows, which were completely covered, and we started opening out. We started delayering the entire surface, and so we got the exposed brickwork as one of the elements in the studio, which is not only in its raw form, but it also has come to be identified as the tactical sensibility of the studio. We also have timber windows, which were beautifully constructed during that time, and they are arched windows that have a lot of original character, and it was all completely covered when we were starting with the renovation work. The idea of restoring these windows to their original glory in order to be able to give not just a natural light to all the spaces that we have, but also to ensure that the architectural originality, the glory of these beautifully designed buildings when you see them from outside, was also restored from the inside. So by way of opening these windows, we've ensured that not only do we cut down on our electrical consumption, and hence it's that green way of looking at design, but we also have the beauty, the aesthetic of these windows become integral to the space. We've maintained the flooring surfaces all over the studio space as very, very organic. There's stone flooring, which is of a rough texture format. We just love the kind of feel that it lends, and it complements the metal and the wood in a very balanced fashion. We've kept maximum glass in the studio, the transparency that you experience in this space, where no space except the service block is private, so to speak. They are all spaces which are absolutely transparent. It somewhere aligns with the ethos of our space, our practice. The principal zone or the client zone, they are in visual connect. There's a visual connect between the studio space with the front office as well as the client spaces. So all in all, opening out the spaces so there's a visual connect between the two levels, the upper level and the lower level, by way of glass, metal and glass partitions, the wooden textures which are left raw, the exposed brickwork that has been made as one of the prime features in the studio, and stone flooring and the rest. All in all brings a very organic palette come together and become as the character of the studio. So as far as the studio goes, there are a couple of aspects that are very important. When we have work assigned to the studio, we have a very inclusive format where it's teamwork all the way. We have the seniors and the juniors and interns come together on projects. There is client interaction within the teams where 2 or 3 people from the team are always part of the client meetings or the site supervision, making sure that the studio is always involved in a very cohesive fashion with our work commitment as well as our client interface. At the studio we have a big family, a huge family that comes and does things every day. When we are here, we belong to the space. There are lots of things that we do here which become synonymous with the kind of culture that we have. Something like a self-expression. I may have a thought that comes to my mind when I'm coming to the studio in the morning, and I just come and scribble something, and that instigates, that triggers everybody's thought process, and by the end of the day, I would see a full board. I'll see the blackboard full of chalk and the scribblings where everybody has poured out whatever is there in their heads or in their hearts. And we also have a lot of fun evenings over here. The long table is actually witness to a lot of informal evenings which through a discussion end into a wine session or an informal hangout where the young people just come in, and that's the bonding time that we have within the team. So those are the few things that help us in building a team that believes that this place is theirs. This is the studio that they belong to, and they would do what is in their capacity as a member of the team to put together and do for the studio.